Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Conversations Aloud, where we have honest conversations about politics, society, and culture. And today we're discussing illegal immigration in the US, its impact, and we're joined by JJ, who is a former frontline agent and a senior leader in the US Border Patrol, has spent 24 years on the southern border, and has a few new documentaries out soon, which we'll be discussing. One is called Treason, Trafficked. Welcome to the show, JJ.
Thank you very much for having me. I know you're going through some turmoil there in England, and I anticipate that type of turmoil to happen in America shortly as well. So thank you for having me on today.
Well, I hope not, but we'll go into that. I saw in one of your statements. Well, actually, first, can you share with us your experience in the U.S. Border Patrol? Where were you based, and what was that experience like?
Okay. I have 24 years in the United States Border Patrol, and I would consider myself an expert on immigration policy and law in the United States of America. All of our laws derive from the Immigration Nationality Act called the INA. Everything that is happening today since Joe Biden has taken office that never happened in the 96 and a half years of our 100-year history of the United States Border Patrol. Nothing. I started in Imperial Beach Station. So if your audience looks at the map of the United States, it goes always to the southwest corner of America. I worked that border from that Pacific Ocean point, 11 miles east through San Ysidro Port of Entry, which is the largest North American land port of entry. I've worked the whole eastern corridor of California as well, and I have worked the entire Arizona border as well. I just have not looked at Texas. I've been there, but I haven't looked at. I was a frontline agent down there on the Tijuana border during some of the most violent times in recent Border Patrol history. I ran units. I ran special units, ATV units, maritime coastal units that took down Sinaloa drug cartel, narcotic loads by the tons. We were assaulted every single shift that I worked down on the Tijuana border when I ran ATV units. I went to work every day, and I went to work in a violent, desperate, hopeless place where only the strong survive. Only the strong survive. I know what it sounds like. I know it's good and bad, but I thrived in that environment. I was very good at my job. I knew exactly what the rules were, the rules being the laws. I knew what policy was, and I did not hesitate to react to situations. And that's, I believe, what made me excellent at what I did. I moved up the ranks into a senior leader within San Diego sector. San Diego sector, for example, has 2,500 agents, or at that time had 2,500 agents. I was in the top 25. So I have a very unique perspective from a guy that worked the beat, like a beat cop. We call the border the line. I worked the line, and then I worked a very large task force, and then I became a senior leader in management. So I have an understanding of what the hell is going on, how the Secretary of DHS, or Department of Homeland Security, Mayorkas, is doing to destroy America from the use of illegal immigration. And just so we're very clear, because I think this has to be, I have to say this every time, because the left and the rhinos, Republicans in name only, like to conflate legal immigration with illegal immigration. I'm not talking about legal immigration. Some of the greatest patriots in current history in the United States of America are legal residents that naturalized in America. I'm talking about illegal immigration, so your audience can understand the magnitude of the problem in America. Prior to Joe Biden taking office, 22 million illegal aliens were living inside the United States of America. 22 million. I believe that number was very conservative. However, let's just go with it. It's accepted amongst both sides. Right now, projected, Joe Biden has, I think, 5 more months left, thank God, to be the president of the United States. In 5 months, that'll be his total 4 years, he will have allowed in 30 million illegal aliens. So we are now looking at 50 to 52 million conservatively illegal aliens living in America. That equates to 1 in 6 residents living inside of our borders is an illegal alien with no allegiance to America. Now, you name me one nation in the history of civilization that had overcome this demographic shift, and you cannot. And that's what's facing America right now.
That is a huge number. The way you're saying it, it's so one of the reasons it could be incompetence, which is allowing this, or there is an agenda that's causing this to happen. What do you believe is the situation?
I believe it is absolutely intentional and strategic and purposely done. Let me explain to your audience. So My last year in the United States Border Patrol, I was a deputy patrol agent in charge, and this was Joe Biden's first year. So I went through multiple presidents. The greatest border president in the history of the United States of America was Donald Trump. When Donald Trump left office, we were arresting between 500 and 600 illegal aliens a day across the giant United States
Wait,
of
sorry to
America.
interrupt.
That's
Was that higher than Obama?
no, Obama was a joke. Everything that we're witnessing today was a continuation of Obama, but on steroids. So when you go back to Obama, he did everyone in the interior, meaning people that crossed the border illegally and made it into America. They could have been deported. They could be felons. They could be everything. They were exempt at his second term in office. They were exempt from deportation.
Hmm.
He gave them basically blanket amnesty. So Obama likes to say that he is the deporter in chief. He deported more people. No, he didn't. This is semantics. They changed titles. So when I arrest, I know we're across the pond. So when we arrest an illegal alien on the border, the majority back in the old days, 3.5 years ago, the vast majority, I would say 90% were Mexican nationals. We would offer them an opportunity to voluntarily return to Mexico. They'd have to see the judge. We just sent them back. If they wanted to see the judge, they would go see the judge and they would be ordered deported after about 2 weeks to a month sitting in jail. So they would say, nope, just send me back. I'll try again, right? A cat and mouse game. Obama began to categorize those voluntary returns as deportation. They're not. That was a lie. And that's what he used to say, look, I'm deporting everybody. Wink, wink, right? It was a lie. Just everything our government said. I hate to say this out loud, but our American government is so corrupt. It is so, and I can go through a litany of examples of the lies that they tell us. So you fast forward to Donald Trump. Donald Trump finally had the border absolutely almost secure. He was within 6 to 9 months of his second term of securing the border completely. Let me try to explain. You have 2,000 miles of the southern border. You have 5,400 miles of the northern border. Then you have both coastlines. We were arresting 500 to 600 people a day. That's like a drip in your faucet. Day one, not day 1,000. Day one, Joe Biden took office. We went to 5,000 arrests a day. And we went from 5,000 to 20,000 arrests with a complete release rate of 95 to 97% of everyone we arrested was released into America. And that continued from day one to present day.
Why is that?
Why? Because prior to getting into office, Joe Biden had to have meetings at the highest level to determine how were they going to fundamentally transform the United States of America. And they decided on the best and most efficient way was illegal immigration, invading the United States of America with tens of millions of people. How do I know those meetings took place? I wasn't there, but how do I know? As a law enforcement officer, what's my probable cause? My probable cause was day one, and I was sitting in my office when this happened. Day one, we saw 94 executive orders cascaded down from the Oval Office. 94 by noon, 94 executive orders obliterating every immigration policy that was in place by Donald Trump. And it completely opened the border completely wide open. So why would you do that? That had to be strategic. It had to be intentional and purposeful. Within the next year, his first year in office, he will have signed 296 executive orders, all on immigration, laying the foundation for what we're seeing now. It is not bad policy. Look, Joe Biden doesn't know if it's July, August, or he's on planet Mars. Okay, let's just be honest. He has dementia, full on dementia. We don't even hear him speak anymore, which is unbelievable. But he created a system to fail. They are successful. When you take off your glasses, I always tell people in America, rip off your America First, Mom, apple pie, and Coca-Cola. Rip them off. Now I want you to put on glasses of people that hate your nation, people that want to fundamentally transform America, people that tell you that you're racist, you're a xenophobe, you're an oppressor, you're a slave master. When you put those glasses on, everything they are doing on immigration, illegal immigration, makes complete sense. I think go through hours with you talking about the policy that they have destroyed. Secretary Mayorkas has destroyed. I'll give you one example. In the INA, it states that I am forbidden, as an immigration officer, I am forbidden from releasing an illegal alien into America. I had direct contact in arrests or indirect, meaning I ran station and I have all these agents making arrests. Let's just say the number is 100,000 arrests, which I think is fair or maybe a little conservative. 100,000. Do you know how many people I arrested of those 100,000 on the border and released into America in 24 years? Zero. Why? As I just told you, it's against the law. But this administration has released 95 to 97% of everyone arrested. And they have gone from 80, 90, 85, 90, 95% Mexican nationals, and it has slipped to over 70% other than Mexicans. We call it OTM, other than Mexicans. There's 195 nations on planet Earth. 180 nations are in the arrest data in the United States Border Patrol. The whole world is coming into America illegally. This is unsustainable.
So JJ, explain to me, and I guess to the audience too, why would someone that is in charge of the U.S. take that decision to open the borders? What's causing that?
This is causing because they want to change America. I know it's very hard for people outside of America to try to grasp this. It's not, as I wrote in my book, Invaded, and then I did 4 months travel in America getting these documentaries created and edited, and they're going to come out in September, October. It's hard for people outside of America to understand that our own government hates our country. It's irrational. If I would have heard myself, if I went back in time and I saw myself talking, I would say, oh, dear God, what happened to you? What happened to you, JJ? You sound like a conspiracy nut. But it's true. Everything I'm saying is true. History's going to prove me out right, just as everything else has that I've said about illegal immigration. I don't have to listen to my own words. I don't have to make up words. I can just listen to the left. President Barack Obama, we are going to fundamentally transform the United States of America. Because he was the first Black president, nobody said, hey, excuse me, sir, time out. What are you going to transform us into? Number one, you were marrying the United States of America. It's like me marrying my wife, and the day before I get married to her, I say, you know what, honey, I cannot wait for tomorrow. You know why? Because I'm going to fundamentally transform you. Whoa, hold on a second. I thought you were marrying me because you love me. No. I see potential. I'm going to change you. You're kind of racist. You're a xenophobe. That's what Obama said. And then you look at Joe Biden. Joe Biden said, and I'm almost quoting, we are going, as vice president, we are going to have unrelenting waves of immigration, and it is going to upset and change our demographics, making the white European resident or citizen in America, he's going to be the minority, and that's a good thing. No. Hold on a second. You don't get to artificially change the demographics of America. If the demographics of America change because Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, or white Americans begin to have more babies and the percentages change, who cares? We're Americans. But when you import 50 million people and you completely blow up our demographics, no. And then you ask me, go full circle. It's because they want to change America. Listen to what the left said and watch what the Republicans don't do. The Republicans never challenge it. The left said, we are a racist nation built on the back of slaves and oppression and going and having illegal wars and taking treasures from foreign land. That's why America's great. Not because America is a republic and has freedom and opportunity. They don't believe that. They believe the opposite. We are in a battle, a war for the soul of America right now. And I know it sounds dramatic or hyperbole. It's not. It's just the truth. If you came into America today, it is 100% divided.
No, we can definitely see that. 100% see the division, and it's just increasing more and more. We see people to go into the extremes, the opposite extremes. But I guess it's difficult to accept the statement that there is an intention by the agency in the government that's supposed to protect and improve the states, mm-hmm. and is taking a deliberate intention to open the borders and allow illegal immigration to happen. What?
Crazy.
Yeah. What is and you're saying it's a logical decision that's happening from their side. Mm-hmm. What is making you think in that way? I mean, you mentioned there that they're saying they want to transform America. But that could just be, transform it and just improve it as a, you always have to grow and make sure that you stay number one. And with that comes a transformation. How are you linking this with that?
No, because I lived it. I watched it. I'm not some talking head guy or that wrote a book about theoreticals or did a documentary on, this is what I think happens on the border. No, I lived it. I know exactly what's happening. So let me give you an example. Okay. Right now, 80% of the United States border on the southern border is unmanned. The southern border is 2,000 miles. 1,500 miles of the border has been unmanned for over 3.5 years. No one's there. In fact, throughout this 3 years, giant sectors have disbanded all law enforcement and pulled them all in to process and then transport illegal aliens. Let me give you an example. Tucson, Arizona has 262 miles of the southern border. For weeks and months on end, they pulled everyone off the border. Nobody was guarding the border. This has never been done. And then I'll follow up and say, okay, let's say you're right and I'm wrong. Okay, let's say I'm crazy. Explain to me how after the first year of 2-point-something million people, or I think it was, right around 2 million people crossed the border illegally and everybody was released. It was mass chaos on the border. You had 10,000 Venezuelans in one place living on a bridge, another 5,000 Haitians. You have Chinese nationals pouring across the border. You have absolute chaos after the first year, okay? You don't do anything to stop it. In fact, you come in and you accelerate it to the next year, it's 2.5 million. After 2 years, you do nothing but accelerate it to 3.2 million. And the fourth year, you accelerate it even more. And now we are creeping up on 4 million. And then I ask you, do you know that the United States federal government is flying almost 2 million people from outside of America into America and releasing them on in our airports in the middle of the night? It's already been discovered. The federal government had to admit to it. And let me give you a third one. I could go on forever. The chief of the United States Border Patrol, he runs the whole Border Patrol nationwide, 20,000 or at the time, 21,000 agents. His name's Rodney Scott. Under oath in Congress, they asked Rodney Scott, what was your first meeting with Alejandro Mayorkas, a gentleman from the communist nation of Cuba that naturalized into America, is now our Secretary of DHS. He had said, what was your first meeting like with Alejandro Mayorkas? And I'm almost quoting. He said, Mayorkas told me, the number one law enforcement officer on the border, my whole job is to secure the border. He said, I want you to open up every avenue possible to allow in as many people as possible. That's treason. That's treason. And I could go on for another hour and a half, giving you example after example.
So what? Why do they? I'm still not understanding. I guess why do they want that? That's
because you don't want to hear or try to comprehend the irrationality of what I'm trying to say. They want to change America. America is too white. It's too oppressive. They need people of color. They need demographic upheaval, and they need to take our rights away. You don't have what we have. You have in England, you have no free speech. You have no Second Amendment where you arm yourself. They would want to take away all of that. They've almost successfully destroyed us in the First Amendment. The Second Amendment is our right to bear arms, and they want to take that away. So what do? Do you fight us head on, meaning 150 million Americans that have weapons, and there's like 300 million, 400 million no weapons in America? No, you can't do that. You'll never win that. But what you can do is you can take their strategy and you can import 50 million illegal aliens, and that are illiterate in their own language, not illiterate in English, in their own language, they're illiterate. And you bring them in, they have no understanding of our government, no understanding of our history, no understanding of our laws, and they are 100% dependent on our federal government. So who is going to do what the federal government wants, us or them? Them. And then when you throw in the reproductive data, okay, illegal aliens are reproducing at a 2 to 6 times the rate of Americans. Americans are not even reproducing at the replacement level. So you bring in 70% of single adult military age men into America, 70% of the 12 million. I will go further and say, I would say the overall 50 million is 60% single adult military age men from continent Africa, Middle East, Venezuela, and Haiti. It all makes sense when you connect the dots and you leave your world of trying to understand it rationally. And I ask this every time that I'm interviewed. It doesn't matter if it's left, center, or right. All of my data that I'm going to tell you in our hour or so interview is 100% correct. All of it. Look at it. Go to cbp.gov, mess around in there, all the data. I'm using their data. I'm not even using mine. I'm using what they profess is the truth. And I ask you, if I show you all of my data and you don't like my conclusion, you don't like what I say is happening, my question back is, then why don't you tell me what the hell's going on? And every time I ask that, I get stone cold silence because it's so irrational. People can't wrap their brain around. And the only explanation is the one I'm giving you. And if not, I would love to hear. You say you tried to parse the words of fundamentally transformation. I want to make America better. Really? No one in America believes that America is better in the last 4 years. Not one person, not even a lunatic left. No one. We just lost 2 days ago almost $1 trillion in our market. $1 trillion disappeared in the market overnight, in actually 2 hours. We see inflation is being put at the 17 to 18%. If they go back to the 1970s and 80s, where they calculated inflation, we're almost in the 30 percentile of inflation in America. Rents have almost doubled. Gas has doubled. Food, 40, 50, 60%. People can't make ends meet in America. However, our federal government will have spent in 4 years over $1 trillion on illegal aliens. And make sure I didn't mispronounce a billion. I said it with a T, $1 trillion plus just on illegal aliens. So I'm giving you all of this evidence. I'm a law enforcement officer and you're my U.S. attorney that I'm sending all my information to. Sir, here's my case. Here's all of my evidence. It's a giant mountain. I brought you just a fraction of it. I just need you to indict this man. I have all my other data. It's a whole two van loads full of documents. And I'm going to prove to you that that man's guilty. That's what I'm doing today. I'm showing you everything. And do you want to take it to court or do you want to just, it's okay. 50 million illegal aliens. This isn't even what I'm saying. I'm just regurgitating what congressmen and senators say on the House floor in congressional testimony. They're saying there's 50 million. I'm saying there's more. I'm just saying, I'm going off of what they said. So again, Hadi, I ask the question, if I'm wrong, then why don't you or anyone, and I'm just saying a Reddit, I'm not going after you. I'm saying if anyone in your audience says, oh, that guy's crazy, well, then explain to me how you allowed 50 million people into America and that somehow was just, I got dementia and I don't know what I'm doing. But I have 535 congressmen, I have 100 senators, and I have a vice president that run our country, and they've done nothing to stop it. Why? That's a good question. That's an honest question. Why? And I've given you the answer to that. And people don't want to hear it because especially people outside America, it sounds so insane. But I want your audience to understand, if America falls, the whole world gets reset. The whole world. And this is a global phenomenon. It's a global reset. It's a global strategy. Look what's happening to your country. Look what's happened to Sweden, the Netherlands. Their population is being tipped upside down. Does anybody care if Sweden goes economically? Does it have an impact on us in America? No, nobody gives a rip. I don't want that to happen to Sweden. But what if America flips? What if America becomes second, third, fourth in the world? The dollar falls. Do you think that has a profound and immediate impact on every nation on planet Earth? Absolutely, it does. If America goes, the world goes, and it gets reset. How does that get reset? The power structure of China, Russia, Iran, etc. They become the powers. Because we as the left have been fed this lie that we need to take care of the whole world. And it's okay, diversity is a strength, while we destroy our nation. No, America, diversity is not our strength. Our strength in America is we are a plethora of colors, religion, ethnicity, but we all adhere to that American flag and have patriotism to our country, so much so that I will go to war with my Black brother, my Hispanic brother, and everyone in between, and we go and we win wars, or we used to go win wars. That's not the America anymore. No.
JJ, you've made it a strong case. And I think for a lot of people, you're right. It's difficult to accept it because it does feel irrational, but it's difficult to argue with facts. Just to summarize this point, what you're saying is that the reason why this is happening, is it to control the society in a way in the U.S.?
Absolutely. It's to fundamentally transform us. So when you look at everything that's happening in your nation and the Western Europe, we've been tracking this and watching it for years. You guys have flooded your nations with majority, almost all single adult military age men that do not share your culture, your beliefs, anything. I'm not even here to argue who has the better culture, whatever. You're a nation that has sovereignty, that has cultural norms and societal norms. We in America, the same thing. We have our own cultural norms and societal norms. We're looking at a complete destruction of America. I understand it sounds crazy. I do. I have an inner voice. There's times where I'm going to interviews and in my head, I'm thinking, okay, we're coming to that point where you have to say the absolute insanity. You have to speak it. It's true. Believe it. Say it. Again, I go back to the, why would a federal government take all their law enforcement on the southern border and move it out of the border? Why would your federal government allow illegal aliens by the tens of millions, not like it's a bad day, we have 100,000, tens of millions of illegal aliens to pour into your country, unchecked, unvetted, have no idea. Why? And as rational as what I'm trying to say, it is beyond rationality to explain why your government would allow 30 million people to come into America. And that's just the southern border, man. We're not talking about Canada. There's one sector called Swan Sector. It covers New York, Maine, New Hampshire, the Eastern Corridor. In June, they made arrests in June. The total arrest in June equaled the last 13 years combined. 13 years combined, 85 different nationalities. We have terrorists. Let me just put it another way. I can go through this for arrest data. Okay, maybe let me try this tack, Patty, if it's okay.
Sure.
Let's take the 12 million that we've arrested under Joe Biden. Just their data, not mine. 12 million, I know it's 30, let's say 12, that they say. Do you know inside that 12 million that you have over 1 million Venezuelans, almost 1 million Haitians, 200,000 Chinese nationals? The last year of Donald Trump's term in office, you know how many Chinese we arrested while I was there? 1,950 in 1 year. This year, we're going to arrest over 60 to 70,000 Chinese nationals. My military intelligence officers tell me that they have identified between 50 and 120,000 Chinese national soldiers of that 200,000. 250,000 Russians, 250,000 special interest aliens. What are they? Special interest aliens are individuals that have traveled from terrorist nations. Terrorist nations. So what I'm saying to you is 250,000 terrorists have come into America, and we have released almost all of them. And you say, JJ, come on. Okay, let's not listen to me. Let's listen to Christopher Wray, the director of our FBI. And he says under congressional oath, where are all the terrorists? Are you tracking them? And he smirked and said, there's too many of them. We don't know where they are. And then he said in a conference in front of all of our 3,000 sheriffs across America, he said, and I quote, there are more red flags today than there were before 9/11. So I'm giving you data points on what has crossed into our country. And then again, I ask the question out loud, why would your federal government allow terrorists into your nation by the hundreds of thousands? I get reports from all my colleagues on the border almost every day, across the border, the whole northern border as well. They'll send me pictures and there will be a close-up shot and they will say, these are known terrorists. And it'll be like 4 or 5 faces. And I go, yeah, those are terrorists. And then they give me another picture and they say, but I want you to see what I'm looking at. And they'll show me a picture with 2,000 people on our side of the border waiting to be picked up by the Border Patrol. And every last one of the 2,000 are single adult military age men. And they're from the continent of Africa and Middle East. And I tell people this, and it has to be discussed, okay? It has to be discussed. Everyone believes the federal government and your government is the same as ours in this way. The terrorist watch list, they act as if they have vetted the 8.2 billion people on planet Earth, and they created this list of all the terrorists on it. Look, if you're not on the terrorist list, you're not a terrorist. Don't worry, we vetted the 8 billion people. Are you that? Who's that stupid, right? But our government says, wow, you know, we haven't lost that many. Our federal government has admitted to losing 99 terrorists, arrested and released 99 terrorists into America. I know that number is so grossly a joke, and everyone in the business knows it's a joke. But you're telling me of the 12 million people that you arrested, that you quote vetted, that all of them were on the terrorist watch list that were supposed to be on it? And what about the 18 million that crossed through the border undetected and absconded? That brings our total to 50 million. Again, I'm sitting in a court of law, Hattie, and I'm giving you evidence. And the defense cannot rebut anything I'm saying.
For sure. Do you think all the people that are coming from those nations, you would consider them as terrorists?
No, I don't. But if I tell you that the vast majority of the people we're bringing in are from those nations, and those nations harbor terrorism and hate America, what is the logical probability that you have hundreds of thousands out of the millions that want to do harm to America? Let's play this game. Okay? Let's play this game. This year, probably 100,000 special interest aliens are crossing in the border. Okay? That's all the data shows that that's projected in the next 4 months. 100,000. Let's say, let's play the game. JJ is he's absolutely insane. There's no way this is happening. No way at that number. And I go, okay, let's say I'm 50% wrong. That's 50,000 terrorists. Let's say that JJ is absolutely insane and I'm 99% wrong. Just 1% of what I'm telling you is correct. That's 1,000 terrorists. Are you okay with that? Are you okay, America, with 1,000 terrorists being allowed in your country? I'm waiting. Let's go further. I'm 99.9% insane. Insane. Are you still okay with 100 terrorists? 19 brought down the World Trade Centers, killed 3,000 people, and crippled our economy for years. You're okay with 100,000? Do you see where I'm getting at?
No, 100%. Yeah.
Do you see where we're at?
I think it's a very dangerous situation. Although I kind of question the percentage of people that are coming in as labeled as terrorists, because it's not. I guess maybe you're considering it as the Bay of Pigs kind of scenario where the governments themselves outside are sending the worst of the worst coming in. I'll take an example, like the people that might be coming from a terrorist, what you would consider a terrorist nation like Iran, will probably be also fleeing that nation because of the situation that's happening there. That's not to take from what you're saying in terms of there will be some people that are there to cause harm for the U.S. And that's a valid thing to say.
Okay, but hold on one second. So we're going to play this scenario that I have to, as a American citizen that follows the laws and under a constitution, I have to agree that my government is going to allow in 30 million people in 4 years with a large significant percentage from nations that hate America. And I'm supposed to sleep well at night believing, well, just some of them are bad.
No, you're right. No.
That's what I
100%.
Right?
No, that's a large number.
Let me give you an example. Yeah, let me give you an example of just to drive this point home. Venezuela, fallen nation, right? Complete chaos. Do you know, in the midst of all that chaos, do you understand that they have a 22-year low of murder rate in Venezuela? Do you know why? Because they emptied their prisons and poured them into America. And our Venezuelan murder rate in America, meaning Venezuelan illegal aliens that are murdering, raping U.S. citizens, women, children, and men, has skyrocketed. You talked about Iran. Where's Iran? How are we getting Iranians in America? Well, they're flying to Venezuela. They're getting new identification. And this is all proven data. It's all in FBI reports, CIA report, everything. And they're flying into America. Why? Because we allow Venezuelans to a program to walk into our border and just leave and abscond. So what I'm saying to you is you don't like the percentages that I'm using as far as these people from continental Africa and the Middle East are terrorist nations, therefore they're terrorists. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that I know from my own reports of being there, being on the border and doing this job, and then having reports sent to me from everyone, and then on the border, and then our federal government admitting that, yeah, those data are correct. Don't worry about it. We vetted all of them. They're all clean. They're all fine. There are, if you look at 250,000 terrorists that come into our country, I'm talking about full-on suicide bombers, recruiters, money men, and I'm talking all the way down to low-level messenger couriers, right? I'm talking about the whole gamut of this soldiers of war. You would have to be a naive person to believe that it's just 250,000. No, It doubled, triple, quadruple that number, man. There's no one on the border. And as all of my buddies say, JJ, why would you cross the border in the areas there's no border patrol when you could cross into me and I will just arrest you and release you within 8 hours into America with all kinds of benefits and cards and cash and free cell phones? He says, because all my colleagues say, because you cross the border, because you know that you're a gang member, a rapist, a murderer, a drug dealer, or a terrorist. Why would you chance it? You wouldn't. And you and I haven't even discussed, look, we've been talking, I see the recording 40 minutes. This illegal immigration in America is so big. It's so immense. You and I, we just scratching the surface. We haven't even talked about the NGOs, non-governmental organizations that are running our government and transporting illegal aliens. We aren't even talking about that drug overdose have tripled in 3 years under Joe Biden because there are millions of tons of cocaine, heroin, fentanyl, and train coming across the border. We haven't even discussed 500,000 unaccompanied alien children from the ages of infancy to 17 years old have come into America, and our federal government has stated openly, admitted, they don't know where any of the children are. They have no idea. We haven't even discussed the crime that's rampant in all of our cities in America. We haven't truly talked about demographic upheaval in our small cities and towns across America. I can just name off the top of my head multiple cities and towns that have been devastated, that they don't even look like themselves anymore. They have no idea. This is what's happening to America. And there is no stop except Donald Trump. But will he win? Because nobody believes that our elections are real. No one. The left doesn't. The right doesn't. We are in a powder cave in the United States of America because something has to give one way or the other. But America is not, as somebody I interviewed, that's Hudson, is sitting in jail for January 6th, our big insurrection, right, in the White House or in the state capitol. And she's a very intelligent, very accomplished woman. And she said, you think America is the greatest nation on planet Earth? No, we're not. And you know what? I sat there as a hardcore patriot of America. I had no rebuttal to her, none. And she's right. We are falling. America is a moral cesspool of insanity. This is America. And I'm not proud to say that I hate that my country has become this. But I want you to understand, as many people that will denounce me, equal amount, tens of millions, will absolutely applaud and say, that guy's saying the truth in America. That is how divided we are. You talked about in the beginning that there's two sides and they're extreme on both sides. I don't think my side is extreme. My side wants open. My side wants closed borders, sovereignty in America. We don't want you killing babies, even though, God forbid, killing them outside the vaginal canal, being live human beings. We don't want drugs in our country. We don't want our population being completely turned upside down. We don't want you to spend trillions of dollars on wars that we don't want to go to. We don't want you to spend trillions of dollars in nations across the globe while we suffer economically. That is not extreme. That's being a patriot. You look at the other side wants everything opposite what I just told you. Where do we meet in the middle? The answer is we have no common ground anymore in America. Am I supposed to agree that after a 9-month digestion for a woman to give a baby, I meet you halfway at 4.5 months, you can slaughter a baby? Am I supposed to allow half of my border to be completely open? Am I allowing you to spend, instead of $5 trillion in 4 years on illegal wars, I'm going to let you spend 2.5? I'm going to let you kill 5,000 soldiers instead of 10,000 soldiers fighting in Ukraine and in wars in Israel and in the Middle East? No, there is no middle ground in America anymore. And that is the problem. There is none. And I won't meet anyone in the middle anymore because the middle is still disgusting and evil to me.
Do you think that is also part of the problem in terms of not being able to meet in the middle? Because everyone is saying that, right? When I said it's extreme views, what I meant is the other party sees the other party as having extreme views. Everyone feels like they are the party that makes sense and their views make sense. And I'm not saying your views don't. Everything you've said.
No, I understand what you're saying.
But that's the issue, is that we are everyone lives in different realities, thinking their reality is the right and the one that makes the most sense, and we're unable to come to the middle and have that conversation. And that is part of, I think, part of the conflict.
Well, wait, okay. Then if we look at in America and in the West, we like to look at the present as if that is how it's always been, right? Look at their inner city. The inner cities are fallen. They've always been that way. No, they haven't. America has not been like this. It is not. 20 years ago, there was no such thing as transgenderism and men wearing dresses and dancing naked in front of children. Those men would have been beaten to death, or if the cops got there before us, they would be arrested and put into jail for child molestation and assault. So when we talk about what happened to America, we need to understand, wait a minute, we've allowed our nation to go down the slippery slope 30 years ago, 20 years ago. We didn't have this angst. We had none of it. None of it. None of what we're living in today was 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. No, I disagree completely. So we get here, and all the men, I blame men. Men allowed this to happen. We're supposed to protect our wives and children, and we failed as men in America. But we get here, and everyone looks, well, this is how it's always been. No, it's not. No, it's never been this way. Never have we been going down this slippery slope to get here. Yeah, because we allowed it. But why do I have to accept this present world that I find to be evil? And at least, and I would say even more than half of America agrees with me.
I just wanted to touch on one thing you also shared, not in this conversation, but when I was reading your Substack. You stated that the US government is the largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history. What do you mean by that?
500,000 unaccompanied alien children, called UAC, have crossed the border under Joe Biden's watch, and they have lost every one of them. Every last one of them. In this documentary, I knew this, but I didn't know it to the extent. And when I went to this documentary, I interviewed Department of Homeland Security whistleblowers, Health and Human Services whistleblowers, FBI whistleblowers. I interviewed people that worked inside of these child detention facilities across America. And I also interviewed 2 leading child sex trafficking organizations that hunt down children and rescue them and hunt down the people that work in this world and profit off the evil of sexual abuse of children. And what I learned was absolute truth, that the federal government is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization. And I asked every last one of the people that I interviewed that did not know I was interviewing everyone else. I wall people off so nobody gets in trouble. And I asked them that question. I said, I'm going to give you a statement. And the statement is the one I just said, that American government is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history. And I just want you to answer yes or no. And I did this at the end of my interview. And my interviews would last anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours to 5 hours. That's how depraved this is. You know what they all said to me? Before I could get my last word out, history, they would lean in. I could see them physically, their body leaning into me because they want to tell me. Before I could get that last word out, they would yell at me, shout, yes, 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 our federal government. And I asked each one of them, and I'll just tell you one because I know we don't have a lot of time. I said, okay, you work inside, his name's Carlos, you work inside these child detention facilities. Yes. The people that are running these non-government organizations through the federal government are raping children in those facilities. 2 weeks ago, the Department of Justice just alleged that Southwest Keys, which is the one that runs multiple thousands upon thousands of kids in their custody, are raping the children. And I asked them, prove to me, think of me as a guy that doesn't believe, I'm a skeptic. I'm like, I don't believe any of this stuff you're telling me. Tell me some stories that prove it. He told me about 100, but one story that just rang true. He said to me, okay, I'll give you an example. Usually we fly commercial airlines and we fly the children all over. There's 400 child detention facilities across the nation of America, 400, from 10 to thousands of children in these facilities. He said every couple of weeks, they would round us up and say, everybody, they call it escorts. Can you believe it? All the escorts will go and meet at these giant detention facilities to hold children. And we would take 200 to 300 of these children, and we would drive to a private airstrip in El Paso, Texas, about 5 hours away, down to the border. And then on that private airstrip would be 3 Lear jets. And we would put all of our children in those 3 Lear jets. And the rule was the pilots and flight attendants could not speak to the children of the escorts, and the escorts and children were forbidden to speak to the pilots and the flight attendants. And they would fly us across America in the middle of the night, and then we would land in the dark of night on other private airstrips across America. And on those airstrips would be vans, buses, and cars waiting for us to take our children. And then we would take our children in the middle of the night and get to our destinations by early morning. And we would turn over Black children to white people, white children to Black people, Asian children to Hispanic people. And he said to me, what I was doing, JJ, is I was delivering packages to people that had no connection to each other. I was trafficking children. Fast forward to another interview I had with a man as a former CIA operative in special forces in the military. And he runs a child rescue organization. And he said, I asked him the same question. Tell me something that make me believe that the federal government's involved. He goes, having no idea I've spoken to Carlos or anyone else. He said, well, just recently we had intelligence that there were 2 planes flying in the dark of night into Chattanooga, Tennessee. And they're going to hold 60 to 100 children. And sure enough, they set up surveillance and they watched 2 Lear jets fly in the middle of the night with no light. And waiting there are vans, buses, and cars. And they shuttle 100 children into those cars and they leave in the dark of night. Why is your federal government flying children in the middle of the night and depositing them in the places that they're not families? Why? And I ask everyone that's in this business, what is going inside these child detention facilities? And I'm talking to people that we call whistleblowers that go and testify in front of Congress. And they say, under oath, the federal government is involved in child sex trafficking. Every child that comes into our custody, we are releasing to people that are not their family. We have no way to vet them. We are not vetting them, and we are not following up to see if they're okay. And the congressmen and senators say, well, do you know where they are? No, we don't know where they are. They're all gone. How do you lose 500,000? So this is not just my,
this is crazy.
This is my belief. It is crazy, but you got to understand something.
Yeah.
Let me just finish this just so you have an idea of where I'm going. I talk to these people. I'm talking to cross section of people that they're not, I heard about this or I saw it on TV. I live it. They live this every day. And they're telling me without fear of prosecution on camera, those same people that I interview have been in front of Congress speaking. Yes, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, or I go to jail. Yep, that's me. Here's what's going on. But what you don't hear, and I was corrected when I was going through these interviews, they said, you're missing 2 parts, JJ. And I'm like, oh God, I don't even want to know what these 2 parts are. Go. He says, all the child sex trafficking that's happened, it's real. Of course that's real, but you're not talking about the child organ harvesting. You're not talking about the child satanic rituals of selling the bodies of the children so they can sacrifice. This is all happening in America. All of it. And then we have another 500,000 U.S. citizen children that are missing. That 10,000s go missing a day. A day. How do you misplace children? This is the moral rot that we live in. And I'm going to do a documentary called Treason, Trafficked. It's going to be released September 19th. September, 6 weeks away. And I am going to prove without a shadow of a doubt that the United States federal government is the world's largest child sex trafficking organization in modern history. That is my thesis, and I proved it. And I'm going to show the world, and I'm going to show it indisputable. You can't argue with me. If you want to hide it, you want to be completely disconnected, fine. That's on you and God. I'm going to show you words. I'm going to show you interviews. I'm going to connect the dots and show you evidence that this is happening. And I'm going to prove it. And I cannot wait to get it out. I don't like it. I hate it. When I get done speaking to these people, Hattie, I want to rip my clothes off, burn them, and I want to vomit from what I hear.
Yeah. Where can people watch, where will people be able to find that documentary?
You can find it at thisistreason.com. Thisistreason.com. And I had one video documentary I was going to produce. It was called What is Treason? But the sexual trafficking of children became so huge, so enormous. And we had so much footage, and we could not wait another 6-9 months to film enough footage for child sex trafficking. That was our plan. We were provided with enough material and evidence to prove what we needed. So we made that our first documentary. It comes out September 19th. Our second one is Trafficked and Baited, and that comes out October 22nd. You can find it at thisistreason.com. You can pre-order. So right when it does come out, it just shoots right to your email, and you can stream it or watch it captured to your TV.
I think this will be
And I know what we're talking about is dark, and I appreciate your time you're giving me to speak about this. So thank you.
I think it's an extremely important topic to discuss. It's almost like it's not real, but it's these things do happen. And I guess the question before we kind of cut off, why do you believe this is not on every media, newspaper, agency reporting on this?
Because I believe a thread of pedophilia runs through every elite part of our society: religion, politics, education, healthcare, media, sports. It does. And I asked that question to everyone I interviewed, and they all said, yes, that's absolutely true. And why won't they do it? Because I have been told by multiple sources, there are senators with an S, congressmen plural, and president with an S that are pedophiles, and that they go across and go overseas and have sex with minors, which is called raping. It does not take a genius or somebody in law enforcement to see the actions of our president, the way he fondles women, the way he touches and caresses young children. It's sickening. It is what a pedophile does in open air, and no one says it. We all act as if it's normal that the President Biden would cup a young girl's breast that is like 11 years old, or touch and sniff and kiss and put their face on people. No one does that. No one. His daughter wrote in her diary that he had showers with her inappropriately when she was a young teenager or a young preteen. This is a vice president that a Secret Service agent pushed him down, was about to beat the hell out of him because he was fondling his wife at a party. I could go on and on and on, but you ask, why are they not doing it? Because they're all connected. They're all involved.
And it's not shocking. I mean, after what came out of the Epstein thing, it kind of proved everything that you are saying. JJ, it's been great. I don't say great speaking to you. It's been great speaking to you, but the things that you've shared is difficult to process and comprehend. But I'm looking forward to the documentary, and I really appreciate the time that you've given to share everything that you have done. Where can people find you?
You can find me on X at JJ Carrell 14 or Substack, JJ Carrell at Substack. I write there 3 times a week. So thank you very much for having me. I know it's not pleasant to hear, but I can't sit by and give platitudes when I know what is happening. I'm seeing it, I've witnessed it in my life, and I'm watching it play out in real time. I have to speak about it openly and directly. So thank you.
Thank you for doing that. Appreciate it.